Elena is a 8-year-old dancer gifted with graceful legs and a mind constantly bursting with bold choreographic ideas. However, she carries a major flaw: she never finishes what she starts. Her studio is not a place of dazzling performances, but a graveyard of unfinished projects. In one corner lies a contemporary dance piece. With only a promising opening sequence on the shelf are half-edited music tracks and costumes that are only halfway sewn. Every small corner of that space seems to hold the ghosts of abandoned dreams. When friends or colleagues ask, "When will your solo performance premiere?" Elena forces a smile and replies, "Soon, I just need to finish one new idea first." But that soon never arrives. Promises pile up like her incomplete dances, and her reputation in the artistic community begins to suffer. She grew up under the expectations of a respected mentor who would sigh in disappointment at the disorder of her career. He often said, "An artist is not measured by the number of works they begin, but by the performances they complete." Elena always promises herself she will change, yet the cycle repeats like an uncontrollable addiction. After a few days of passionate practice, a new idea for a movement or a captivating style emerges, making her current piece feel outdated and abandoned in the dust. At night, shame and guilt press heavily on her chest like a stone. In the darkness, she often whispers, "Why can't I finish what I start? Is there something wrong with me?" Her life-changing opportunity arrives on a spring morning when the City Theater invites her to choreograph a special piece for an opening ceremony in 3 months. With eyes shining with trust, the manager says, "I know you can create a masterpiece." Elena feels a surge of powerful energy and immediately accepts, telling herself that this time things will certainly be different. During the first 2 weeks, Elena threw herself into rehearsals with overwhelming excitement. The dance piece began to take shape. Each spin and soaring leap carried a rare elegance. Colleagues who happened to pass by the studio would stop in admiration. "Elena, this will surely be the masterpiece of your life," they exclaimed. Pride swelled in her chest, and for the first time in years, she truly believed she could complete something great. But then the familiar temptation returned. On a visit to a bookstore, Elena came across a magazine about modern flamenco dance. The vibrant images and powerful rhythms instantly captured her mind. A seductive whisper, one she knew all too well, echoed in her ear. "It's just a small project. I'll experiment a little and then return to the main performance. There are still 2 whole months left. There's plenty of time." That small project quickly became a new obsession. Elena began spending the mornings she was supposed to dedicate to the theater piece studying flamenco heel stomps and sharp hand movements. She felt exhilarated by the new motions, while the main choreography for the theater slipped into what could be called the wilderness period, becoming tedious, difficult, and filled with unresolved technical flaws. Her focus scattered in dozens of directions, and the most important dance was left abandoned in the corner of the studio. Time passed like water slipping through her fingers. The short 3 months came to an end. Opening day arrived, but Elena's piece remained a mess. No ending costumes, only partially beaded, and music still fragmented. Standing alone in the silent studio, she heard the distant sound of the inauguration bells from the theater. She received news that the organizers had hired another artist to replace her because she had failed to deliver on time. Elena collapsed onto the cold wooden floor, surrounded by strips of silk and unfinished drafts. She broke down in sobs, tears flowing from the deepest place within her, where all her broken promises were kept. She felt pain not only for the lost opportunity or reputation, but because she had lost respect for herself. She looked at her feet capable of creating brilliant beginnings, but never a complete ending. "I'm tired of being an almost great artist," she whispered in despair. In her despair and exhaustion that evening, Elena went to the old studio on the edge of the city belonging to Mrs. Sarah, a veteran dancer renowned for her iron discipline. In stark contrast to the clutter and noise of Elena's own studio, Mrs. Sarah's space was small but astonishingly orderly. Every prop had its place, the wooden floor gleamed, and every surface was spotless. The contrast between Elena's chaos and the neatness here was so powerful that it filled her with both inspiration and deep shame. Mrs. Sarah opened the door, looked into Elena's red, tearful eyes, and simply said, "Come in." With a trembling voice, Elena poured out her heart. "Ma'am, I have talent and endless ideas, but I can't finish what I start." "How are you able to complete everything so perfectly?" The question rose from the depths of her soul like a cry for help from someone drowning. Mrs. Sarah did not answer immediately. Instead, she picked up a small piece of wood and a carving knife, then sat down on an old chair. In the heavy silence of patience, she began carving slowly. "Elena, do you see this piece of wood?" she asked calmly. "Inside it is a spoon, but right now it is imprisoned. My task is to remove everything that is not the spoon." She shaved off a thin layer and said, "If I stop now, it is just a damaged piece of wood, worthless." She carved away another layer. "If I continue one cut at a time patiently, removing each layer until the spoon is revealed, only then will I create something complete, useful, and valuable." Mrs. Sarah looked directly into Elena's eyes and explained the wilderness period. She said that every project, whether a dance or a sculpture, goes through this stage. The beginning is always filled with excitement and possibility. The ending brings satisfaction in achievement, but the middle is where dreams are often forgotten. It is when the work becomes difficult and tedious and self-doubt arises. That is when new ideas seem more appealing and when most people choose to quit. The secret, Mrs. Sarah emphasized, is that finishing is not about motivation, because motivation fades. Finishing is about commitment to the process even when it is no longer exciting. These words struck Elena's mind like lightning, revealing the truth. She had long searched for motivation. Was not the answer persistence through boredom? Was. Mrs. Sarah placed the half-carved piece of wood into Elena's hands, giving her a seed of hope and a path out of the cycle of repeated failure. Elena returned home cherishing Mrs. Sarah's lesson like a sacred treasure meant to rescue her career. Standing in the graveyard of unfinished dance projects, she chose the simplest challenge, a short 2-minute solo she had abandoned months earlier. Elena made a firm commitment to herself. Every day she would spend at least 10 minutes practicing this piece, no matter how tired, discouraged, or uninspired she felt. The next morning, before her mind could invent excuses, Elena stepped into the studio. She did not wait for excitement. She simply turned on the music and practiced for exactly 10 minutes. It was not a spectacular rehearsal, but it was her first small victory. By the 5th day, a captivating new contemporary melody echoed in her mind, tempting her to abandon the piece and begin something new. The temptation was so strong it made her restless, but she chose to honor her promise to herself rather than chase temporary inspiration. Consistency gradually became Elena's new identity. By the 12th day, she felt an emotion she had not experienced in a long time: pride in continuing even when things became boring. On the 23rd day, the solo was finally complete, whole, and refined. 6 months later, the mayor's daughter returned to commission a piece for her wedding anniversary. Elena looked directly into her client's eyes, her voice steady. "I will complete it." This time the work was woven not only from talent, but from daily, unwavering commitment. Elena understood that finishing is a skill that can be trained, and she was no longer an artist of unfinished dreams, but one who knew how to carry those dreams to completion.